Well, welcome. We're so glad you're here, and I'm excited for multiple reasons for this talk. And my dear friend, Dr. Betsy Billys, and I go way back, all the way back to the sixth grade. And she is friends with a lot of people here too. But I wanted to just tell you a little bit about her and what we're going to do this evening. Our whole goal tonight is to talk about skin health and how we can achieve the healthiest skin possible. That's really our goal, right? And this is for women and men. I don't want to count out any men because I think they care about anti-aging as well. So here we go. All right. So Betsy got her medical degree in 1982. She did her 4 years at Duke University and in internal medicine. And then she did her dermatology training and finished that in 1989. She worked for Kaiser and then she went into private practice until 2020. And she had a large practice, a cosmetic practice and general practice. And Betsy, you can correct me if I leave something important out or say something wrong. And now, currently, since 2020, she's been doing a rural healthcare practice for her county, which is basically helping people who are indigent, lower income families, seeing people that truly need her services. So I'm so proud of what she's doing. And we are tonight going to do a Q&A format. I think it's the best way to get some really basic information out and then I'm going to go over a little bit more of the overall science that Juice Plus has so that you can know other things it does. But our focus is on skin health. So Betsy, we're glad you're here. And I'm going to just start by asking you the first question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first question is, after a summer of sun exposure, what is actually happening beneath the surface of our skin, and can nutrition help our skin recover?
Well, probably all you guys know that our skin has like all these wonderful components in it. It's got RNA, DNA, protein, it's got lipids. And when we get damage from sun radiation, we get damage. Of course, in the summer we get more sun, which is has a bad side because we do get more damage. Of course, we get vitamin D that we need, but it can wreak havoc on the skin overall. So I like to think of it within the layers of the skin. Can you hear? The top layer is the stratum corneum, and that will thicken when you get sun exposure. That's the little top layer of skin cells. So that'll thicken with sun. And you don't even have to get a sunburn for that to become thickened. So that is what will cause your skin to feel a little bit rougher. You'll also get a more dryness in the sun from just decreased hydration. And that leads us, to have drier, rougher skin. In addition, that same stratum corneum, well, just below it, you'll get brown freckles, patches on our upper cheeks. That is secondary to melanin. So melanin will in our skin will increase because that is a photoprotective natural component of our skin. A lot of times it will cover the little cap of our DNA and protect that nucleus of the cell. But nonetheless, it still manifests itself in brown spots and things that we don't necessarily like. Long-term exposure from sun, which we get obviously in the summer more, will lead to an increased incidence of skin cancer or increased risk of skin cancer. So those changes I just mentioned are predominantly secondary to a spectrum of the sunlight that we get called UVB. That's the one that you've all heard about. It's one of the wavelengths of the ultraviolet spectrum that's emitted from the sun, which we get more of. And this damages, that UVB will damage the DNA directly. So in terms of what can we do, is this diet have a role to play? Well, yeah, it does because we always get DNA hits, which we have to repair. But in the summertime, it's a little bit more because we're outside. So our DNA repair shop, which we have already pre-created in our skin and our bodies all over the place, it needs the proper tools to do the job of repair. And there's a repair system that does exist, but it's fed by green leafy vegetables is a big one. It's predominantly things that contain folate. And so that's really important that that's what where diet plays a role there. Um, we know also that that diet, especially Juice Plus, because this study has been done, will decrease the levels of homocysteine. And why is that important, and how does that relate to the DNA that we have damaged this summer? It's because when homocysteine decreases, that's just a marker, an indicator that the tools are available in the tool shop. Because if your homocysteine is decreasing, your repair shop is functioning the way it should, and you're able to supply your skin with the necessary repair tools that it needs. Now, so below the stratum corneum is a deeper layer, which contains most of our collagen and elastin, which we all want to retain as much as possible. So UVA is a little longer wavelength than UVB. It'll penetrate deeper into the skin. The mechanism that UVA elicits it will be more like the production of free radicals and oxidative stress. So if UVB predominantly damages DNA directly, UVA is going to really do the oxidative damage that we hear about all the time. So that will necessarily translate into wrinkles and saggy skin because that's the kind of collagen and elastin are what give us the basically the turgor and the elasticity to our skin. So because it's hard to do those studies with food to see if it helps, but there are studies that have been done to show that the right kinds of foods can improve that. But we know that several Juice Plus studies do show that it decreases oxidative stress. So when you're having that damage from ultraviolet A to the deeper layers of the skin, we know that Juice Plus helps with that because it's going to reduce or diminish the oxidative stress and increase your ability to do the repair work that needs to be done there. Just on a little side note to that, this is not about skin, but I've always been curious to know because I have an elevated cholesterol a little bit. I always have. And I'm like, I don't want to take anything for that. I don't know if I need to. So I went and got my oxidized LDL drawn, and I've been on Juice Plus for, I don't know, a couple of decades, maybe more. And it was in the red zone because it was non-detectable. They couldn't find it. So I thought, well, that's great. I think I know why that is. So another, proof that it actually does, at least in that case, it decreased it really a lot for me. So as we mentioned, like vitamins, the collagen and elastin reside deeper in the skin. So topicals, that there's a lot of really good topicals out there right now that are used for skincare. And they're good, they're helpful. But when you're talking about delivery to the deeper layers of the skin, it's going to be done by these little capillaries that are in that part of the structure of the skin. And so the design is to deliver them. Okay, so it's there, you're going to ingest the antioxidants in your good foods, and you'll be able to deliver it deeper via to the target in the microcirculation. So there's several, just not even Juice Plus studies, but other studies that have proved that. Like there was a study in the Netherlands, they used about 3,000 people. This was in 2019. And they basically they had a real interesting way of measuring facial wrinkling. And they had a group of people that reported more meat and snack kind of diets. And then there was another one that was more fruit and vegetable diet. And what they found was that, as you might have guessed, the fruit and vegetable predominant diet people definitely had decreased wrinkling. In Australia, where they have a high incidence of skin cancer and melanoma, and others have skin cancers, there was also a study that showed those people that already had a predominant they had a predilection for the development of squamous cell skin cancers. When they ate a green leafy vegetable diet measured over time, their incidence of squamous cells would decrease. And then another study which I came across, which I thought was interesting, was a Mediterranean diet with fish that, we know that's predominantly fish and vegetables, was preventative for even melanoma. So these things are studied. They're actually kind of difficult to study. Food studies are hard to do, but there are definitely ones that are that show the efficacy and the helpfulness of foods to reverse some of this damage. So that's a long answer to
Really?
a short question.
Well, actually, you covered one and two, but that's awesome. I love the concept you expressed about having tools in the toolbox to fight off the oxidation, and that's basically what the nutrition, the green leafies, and all do, and providing the nutrients, the antioxidants for fighting, even on a deeper level than skin. We'll talk more about that, but that you did cover a couple of things that I was going to
Number
ask
two,
you.
I saw you did have a question number two. Yes. So yeah, it's all the
Um,
same thing.
yeah. And question, I have five questions. So, question number three, what are the biggest nutritional deficiencies or gaps you see that show up in skin dryness, dullness, inflammation, or accelerated aging?
I mean, I don't, it, they're all the above. I mean, everything needs to be considered, but one just to consider on its own is omega-3s. So, because omega-3s will compete with omega-6 fatty acids in pathways that produce inflammation. So we know that the omega-3s are preferable over the sixes, and inflammation causes damage. So omega-3s can reduce the inflammation by being a competitor to the six. Um, the threes also will incorporate into the skin membrane lipid, which is helpful. So, and also help reduce transepidermal water loss. Um, so that'll, by improving hydration, also aids in improving skin elasticity. So it can also reduce inflammation caused by ultraviolet exposure,
Hmm.
which is important because then it will in turn reduce the breakdown of collagen. So I would say, obviously, fruit and vegetables, we know that, but omega-3s are also really important for the integrity of the skin.
Oh, that's good to know. And our plant-based omegas are full spectrum, but they're cold pressed and cold processed and in a capsule that's cold fused. So that really, I think, makes a big difference as well. Um, so my fourth question to you is, and why do you recommend getting the nutrients from a wide variety of fruits and vegetables? We've talked about green leafies, but we know there's a lot more. We're talking about the whole spectrum. And then the fact that whole food nutrition, concentrated whole food nutrition, is better than rather than just taking a multivitamin.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I talked about that briefly just a second ago about that Mediterranean diet, high in fish and vegetables. So when they try to repeat these studies using isolated vitamins, like I think one used A, D, and C, they could not reproduce that same effect. So when you use the whole food, they saw the effect. But when you isolated it down and tried to do the same measurements with groups of people that were only doing isolated vitamins, it doesn't work the same.
Mm.
Um, So you ask, well, why is that? Um, that's because, this is something I learned actually just by becoming a Juice Plus taker and learning about it and I really learned this from this apple diagram. I know this is not a slide, but I've always loved this thing. These guys still, I mean, to project this sometimes.
Yes.
I think it's amazing. I always thought that was amazing because all these phytonutrients that are in an apple that are helpful to the major antioxidants that we always hear about, like the A, the C, the D, the E. Um, they need these little helpers. I say these is like the little specialized Allen wrench. Is that what you call it, an Allen wrench? In a toolbox. I mean, we need all the tools, and these are all together. They're all needed. So there's so much of this that we don't understand that was obviously put together by someone a whole lot smarter than us. But I like what it says up here. Phytonutrients create synergy. So even though there's like, for instance, there's a ton of wonderful topicals that have vitamin C, and they are good, but they're never going to be able to distill all these incredible things into those bottles. And I laugh when I was looking at this, going, we tell people don't eat anything if you can't pronounce the words on the label. You can't pronounce the words on these labels of an apple, but they're all God made, and they're working together in ways that we don't totally understand. But I think it's really important to think about that because there's nothing like it. You really can't compare it to that. So,
Great answer. I like that answer. Yes, it's things we don't understand if we admit that we don't really know everything at this
yeah,
point. Yeah,
totally.
yeah. Well, okay, so we know there's a published study done on skin health, and
Mhm.
I'm going to pop some slides up here, and then we'll be able to talk a little bit, allow you to talk about that skin study a little bit. So bear with me here. I'm going to. Oh, Sharon, I'm sending you a request. Okay. All right. Can y'all see my screen? Okay, good. So this is the results of the skin study on Juice Plus and what has been done in 12 weeks. So Betsy, if you want to touch on any or all of that.
Okay, so we know just what it says that it increased the hydration, the skin density, thickness, and the microcirculation. So what does that mean? So if you have a decreased hydration of the skin, I think we all figured this one out on our own, it would cause more of an accentuation of your wrinkles. That's what we see in typical eczema when you really study it. In dry skin in general and in roughness of the skin, it will be not as hydrated. Density, that's something as we age, we all see that increased fragility and bruising, that crepey skin. And also the decreased circulation would be manifest with sallowness and a paleness of the skin. So the thing that surprised me most really when I look at this, because this is hard to reproduce with any topical, is the microcirculation component because it increased by almost 40%. So with the topicals that are out there, one of the big challenges is how do you deliver it adequately into the skin where it needs to go? And people have used like nanoparticles and things like that. But what's really interesting is that when you take a nutrient orally, um, isn't it interesting that the microcirculation, which would be the delivery system for those micronutrients into the skin, that's accommodating the delivery. So it's almost like it creates its own superhighway to effectively deliver the product. So it's like a whole system that works together. So I think that's fascinating to think about that. And I think that there's a other study which I didn't actually review, but the one about the nitrous oxide and the circulation study that's been done. I mean, all that makes sense with the whole machine that we have. So anyway, I thought that was kind of really, I mean, I know this study's been around for a while, but it's still something that can't be reproduced with other things.
That's an important point, I think, too, Betsy, that it can't be reproduced with other things, that this is what's been shown to happen um, right here. Well, I'm going to give Betsy a little break from talking, and if you have specific questions, you can put them in the chat. We're not going to bombard Betsy tonight, but if you do have things you want to ask her, please put them in the chat and we'll save that. But I'm now going to spend a couple minutes, not longer, but just to show you a little bit about Juice Plus, the full spectrum of Juice Plus. So, what we want to talk about is how Juice Plus is made. And Betsy definitely touched on it, but it is simply plants. And we only partner with family farmers that have the best practices for harvesting, for growing, and quick freezing is a way to preserve those really valuable nutrients that Betsy talked about that we want to get in our body. They're pulverized versus juice, so we get the benefit of the skin, the seed, everything that's part of the produce, and the dried at low temperatures because this is how to remove the water and make it into a powder, but also not the heat is not good for the nutrients. So we keep it at very low temperatures, and those powders go into capsules, soft chews, and now our superfood powder. And I just put this slide in because, wow, what a beautiful view of a farm. And I think it drives home the point that Juice Plus is not a vitamin, it's actual produce. And it's carefully tested by independent experts where we meet and exceed really strict guidelines. NSF, if you're not familiar, is National Sanitation Foundation. It is a third party. They come in and they inspect without notice to see what your quality of manufacturing is. And you might even see that label on things you buy at Whole Foods or somewhere that sells quality products. So it's really an honor that we have that NSF label. It takes us beyond that organic label. We protect our nutrition rich powders in a vegan capsule. It's actually they're actually made to, for a couple of reasons I'll touch on later about the superbiome, but it's a way to preserve them and protect them from moisture and oxygen. Those are the two enemies we have for our antioxidants. I love this slide, and I know it's hard to see, so I'll just go over it quickly with you so you can hear what the clinical research has shown. And there's ongoing research, but it shows that in the first 2 to 10 hours, there's a rise in a variety of polyphenols, which are the dark, rich fruits and vegetables that really do produce the wonderful benefits in our body that we need for key antioxidants. So, and also it's important to know that as we move on in the next 7 to 20 days, it says, or 28 days, key nutrients are found in your blood serum. So we're not only seeing these nutrients get in the blood, our body is producing other nutrients per a study that aren't even in the Juice Plus. So that's pretty amazing that our body is responding in a really positive way. So, and then there's significant decrease in DNA damage, and that's huge because that's what we're talking about future generations there. And then we also see a improvement in gum health. We talked about skin health and lung health in 8 to 12 weeks. Butyrate is an important antioxidant that it's increased and it helps with our gut health, and we want to see more of that. And then also we love the fact that we can see another increase in 16 weeks in working memory, all our cognitive abilities, selective attention, processing speed, executive function, and I'm going to show you a little close up with that in a minute. And then 6 months reduction in body fat. How about that? An insulin resistance increase and lean body mass increased. And in 8 months, improved immunity. We've got 6 published immune studies showing how the immune system is better, fewer colds. I've had 2 colds in the past 22 years, and they were both 1 to 3 days. So I've noticed that one. There's also in the very last one, I think is very interesting. 10 years. Well, what have we seen? Well, right now we're seeing savings in healthcare costs and potentially $5 billion for people all over in coronary events specifically. So pretty fantastic results. And these are all published third-party studies done outside of Juice Plus. We've provided product and placebo, but we're hands off for the rest of the study, and the results are reviewed by peers, doctors that review at a review board, and they are selected to be published because they're statistically significant, and that's important too. To me, this one's huge outside of the skin study, cognitive function. So this study was published in 2021, and it was done on the fruit, vegetable, and berry blends. And basically, what it showed was it improved short term memory, it improved executive function, it improved working memory, selective and sustained attention, and speed of processing, which is huge. And then today, right now, one of the ongoing studies is by the NIH, the National Institute of. They chose to study just our berry blend, and what they're doing is looking at cognitive decline and how to reverse or prevent Alzheimer's and other cognitive dementias. And so that one's ongoing. That one will take up to 5 years, is what I've heard, to completely finish that one. So very exciting stuff. And so, just as a summary, the key benefits that we've seen are 49 studies. The 49th study was just published, And we're excited about that one. It had to do with the omega-3s and 13 and 14-year-olds. And we're seeing those improvements I just mentioned on the last slide. But gut health, body composition, meaning the body fat change, athletic performance, cognitive function, skin health, cardiovascular health, lung function, dental health, inflammation, antioxidant protection, and the DNA integrity. So it's also important, I think, to know that the United States Performance Center, where Olympic athletes are training, are using the Juice Plus protocol for athletic performance. We know they are producing a lot of oxidative stress in their body in their training, and this is the protocol for antioxidants. So it's pretty it makes us proud. We're very proud of the fact that we were chosen. And just quickly, because I think it's so important in all the aspects that we've talked about, the Superbiome is a fairly new product. It's not quite a year old, almost. That small bottle is probiotic capsules that you drink down any time of the day you like. And then the Superbiome prebiotic fiber is that glass, that citrus, light citrus flavored drink that you drink to feed and to help those probiotics live and make it past the stomach acid and actually build your gut health, your microbiome to be more good gut bacteria than bad. And I've heard so many things lately about our gut bacteria. I feel like the science is really coming up still, and we're learning more and more about our brain health and all of our health, every aspect of our health that has to do with gut health. So you might want to learn more about that one. And then I just want to say that we see this Juice Plus products as a gift of hope based on science. We don't make claims. I'm going to say that. We don't make claims of what your results will be, but we do have a lot of third-party published science showing the results. And personally, in my family, we've seen some really positive changes. And taking it back to skin health, I will say we've noticed things like the rosacea went away. I had two kids who had severe acne, and we went to the route of the Accutane, which was terrible. But they ended up on Juice Plus, and we gave them, we upped that and made sure they did it consistently, and they got off the medication. Plenty of people have gotten off antibiotics, ointments, and creams they've needed for their skin because, as Dr. Betsy has said, it's from nutrition and from the inside out is where we get to heal. So the last slide I want to show you is that this is an August opportunity. There is a Healthy Starts program. If you aren't familiar, it's ongoing. It's not just this month, but anyone that wants to sponsor a child between the ages of 4 and a young adult, 25 years old, up to their 26th birthday, can get a free order when an adult orders. And this month, what they're doing is offering you the opportunity to sign up to partner with us for $10. It's normally 52. What that means is that you will get around $100 back on your products called sales profit. You get $100 of a sample box, all the things Luminate, which we didn't even go over tonight, but it's a fabulous brain health and memory and function, executive function product as well. But you can, if you get the whole family on, like if mom and dad both get in there and we support a child in the program, or a friend or a sister or anybody, there's a $200 thank you bonus. And you can just about cover your costs right there. And this is through the end of August. So please get with the person who invited you to learn more about that awesome opportunity for just $10 to get started and get your product. So Betsy, I'm going to end it with one more question for you that I think everybody would love to love to hear you answer. And the question is, so if you had one thing you would say, maybe what advice you would give to anyone over the age of 40, just what three things could you do inside and outside for better skin health?
Okay. Well, just keep in mind that we can't stop aging, but we know that if we make certain lifestyle changes and preventative care changes, we can live healthier lives, longer, healthier lives. So, and if we do make those choices, then that goes to show that we do know that it's a cellular level first. and what we see on the outside is a reflection of really what's happening on the inside. So there's not a magical pill or a simple solution, but there are a few basics that we have to remember. And number one, and we didn't talk about this as a topic for a different day, but physical exercise has a big impact on our even our skin health. A healthy diet is, of course, I think one of the is really number one, and I think Juice Plus can really help you get there. And because I'm a dermatologist, I just need to tell you that yes, a good topical regimen is good. I mean, if you can get a good sunscreen, a good topical antioxidants with vitamin C, B, E, ferulic acid, those are all good things. I won't tell you my favorite brand, but there I do have a favorite. Because I don't know if that would be right to do. Um, and a topical retinoid is really important. A retinoid is a vitamin A essentially, and they all have proven benefits. So retinoids would be like, I'm sorry, I'm going to turn this off. Of course, I told Mimi no one calls me or texts me all day until this thing happens. Um, anyway, they are good for collagen production. It decreasing the destruction of collagen, and topical antioxidants will help to reduce and neutralize the free radicals. So those are all important things. Sunscreens is the last thing I'll talk about topically. It's really important to put on a good sunscreen. There are concerns about the absorption of topical sunscreens. Usually I will recommend a mineral sunscreen because there'll be titanium or zinc oxide. If you can get one with just that, only those ingredients in it as a sun protective component, that's better, but they tend to be not as cosmetically desired because they're a little stickier. But there's a new one coming out. You can look for this. I'm going to look for this one too. It's coming out in September. It's gotten approved by the FDA, and it's called Parsol, Parsol, Parsol Shield. And it's going to cover both ultraviolet A and B, and it's reported to have low systemic absorption. So I will be looking forward to that, and maybe that'll be a good one for us to be using. So anyway, that's what I would suggest.
Wow. Thank you, Betsy. And I know everyone was taking notes and or just listening and absorbing as much as they could to really learn from this. And we just want to thank you so much for your time, your expertise, and really enlightening us in so many ways. Thank you. And Sharon, do you mind turning off the recording and then we can talk after that if you want to stay around?